Hello, everyone, and welcome to our college seminar for freshmen and families. My name is Miss Charlie, and I'm one of the school counseling interns here at Mission Hills. And I actually graduated from Mission Hills in 2018. Then I got my bachelor's at UCLA, and now I'm at SDSU pursuing my master's in school counseling. Today, we're going to go over a college overview, admission requirements, affording college, what you should be doing now, and then we'll talk about some resources. So there are a bunch of post-secondary options. You have community college like Palomar College here in San Marcos, private schools like the University of San Diego, University of California like UC San Diego, California State Universities like Cal State San Marcos, and there's also vocational, technical, trade schools, and military as an option as well. So first, let's talk about community college. There are 18 community colleges in San Diego and 116 in California. They typically have a lower cost in admission, and there is actually an opportunity for free tuition through the Palomar Promise that we have with Palomar College. The requirements for community college are a high school diploma. You also have the option to transfer to a four-year university. So oftentimes what I see is students will go to Palomar for 2 years, and then they'll transfer to Cal State San Marcos or like UC San Diego, for example, to finish up that bachelor's degree. And you get a really good quality education for a lower price tag. The degrees offered at community college are like certificate or like trade degrees, associate's degrees, and bachelor's degrees at some colleges. Next is our CSUs, or California State Universities. There are 23 CSU campuses in California. They're typically more like practical and career-based and hands-on, with like the idea that after you graduate college, you're going to go straight into the workforce. The requirements for CSU is A through G completion, which we'll talk about in a second. They no longer require the SAT or ACT, and it's a database admissions process. So they're looking at your grades, the courses you took, your GPA, et cetera. Our UC campuses, or University of California, there's 9 of those campuses across California. They're typically more theory and research based, and UC campuses were created with the idea that like after they graduate from a UC, they'll go on to get like a PhD or a doctorate degree afterwards. However, I do want to add to that just because, you go to Cal State San Marcos and you're told it's more like a practical, like career-based school, but you still really want to do research in your area of study, you can totally find those opportunities, and there's great research coming out of every single university. On the flip side, like say you get into UCLA, but maybe you're not super feeling research, and that's totally okay too. There are opportunities available at every college to get that hands-on experience that you're looking for. So you can kind of create your own experience. The requirements for the UCs are A through G completion. The minimum GPA is a 3.0. It no longer requires the SAT or ACT either. And another component to UC applications is the personal insight questions. And these are kind of like mini essays where you can showcase who you are. Now, independent or private universities, these are located all over the country, not just in California, and they are all very unique and have like different concentrations or religious affiliations, for example. So just be sure to do your research and, really figure out like what's important to you in a college. They tend to have smaller class sizes. They also tend to have the bigger price tag, but they have more robust financial aid and money to give to students. And examples of private universities are the University of San Diego, USC, or the University of Southern California, that's in Los Angeles, and Pepperdine. And the admission requirements are typically very similar to CSUs and UCs. They typically have like an essay component as well, but it could be different. So definitely verify with each university that you're interested in. Now, finding the right fit, you want to make sure that you kind of like match with your college and it's a place that you want to be. So college is a match to be made, not a prize to be won. You want to consider like, does this college even have the major that I'm interested in? Then you want to look at like the location. Is it somewhere you want to be? The diversity of the student body. Do they have like the extracurriculars or sports that you're interested in? And also keeping in mind the cost of attendance as well. However, there are many forms of financial aid. Next, we'll talk about admission requirements. So I said the words A through G earlier, and what that is just like a sequence of high school classes that students must complete to be able to be admitted into CSU or UC schools. And they have to be completed with a grade of a C or better in order to be eligible. And most independent universities or like out of state schools, they typically require similar things, but again, definitely check with your school of interest. And these A through G requirements are history, where 2 years is required, English, where you need 4 years, math, 3 years is required, but 4 years is recommended to keep that skill up. Science, 2 years are required, but 3 years are recommended. A language other than English, 2 years is required, but 3 years is recommended. And a note on that is it needs to be 2 years of the same language. So you can't take Spanish 1 freshman year and then French 1 sophomore year and have that count. It has to be like Spanish 1, then Spanish 2, or French 1, French 2, for example. You also are required to have 1 year of a visual performing arts, or you'll hear that be called VAPA, and then 1 year of a college prep elective, which is just like anything else. So typically higher level or like more challenging courses make you more competitive for college, and they kind of look at those things. So on your transcript, like some classes will have like an H or an AP next to them, and that designates like an honors course or an advanced placement course. AP courses provide you with that like college level learning experience. And students who enroll in AP classes, you are expected to take an AP exam given in May after each year. And typically, most colleges will grant credit for scores of 3 or above on AP exams. So it's possible that you could earn that college credit while you're in high school. However, I do want to be real with everybody. I would aim for those 4s and 5s in order to get that credit. It depends for each school, of course, and each program will differ as well. But typically, those 4s and 5s are more likely to get you the credit than the 3. And Mission Hills is also committed to making honors and AP classes available to all students. And you're not alone going through this process, right? So there are academic supports available like tutoring and financial supports as well, because the AP test, it costs money to take, but there are fee waivers if needed. So our graduation requirements are very, very similar to the A through G requirements. Some of the only differences are that history, we require 3 years, but A through G is only 2. We have PE in order to graduate. However, that's not included in A through G. And also at Mission Hills, you need a D or better to pass. However, with A through G, you need a C or better in those courses. So what I tell students is like D is for diploma, like high school diploma, and C is for college. So just keeping that in mind when you are like going over your final grades for the semester. And there's also the opportunity to actually take college classes. So college classes can make students more competitive for college admissions, because the people reading the applications are like, oh, dang, like they're already taking college classes. It exposes you to kind of like the different rigor that college classes have while still getting that like supportive high school environment. So you get both high school and college credit for these classes. And there's 2 options for this, right? So there's dual enrollment, where you're enrolled in Palomar courses, but through Mission Hills, and there's no cost to that at all. And then there's concurrent enrollment, and that's where students enroll in courses at Palomar College. And that's kind of like you're taking a class like any person off the street would. It's low cost. You don't have to pay tuition because you're a K through 12 student, but you might be responsible for books and some student fees. And if you want more information, they will be linked in the slides. And then there's QR codes to scan as well if you would like to learn more about each. And your school counselors are a really great resource for talking about this too. Very quickly about college admissions testing. Some colleges still require the SAT or ACT standardized test. If you are required to take it, like especially check with those private and independent or out-of-state universities, check if you need to do that. But if you do, it's advised that you take the test in the spring of your junior year. And it's recommended that you take both to see which one you vibe with better. So typically some people will have a favorite, like they'll be like, okay, I did like a little bit better on the SAT versus the ACT. And then that's the one you want to keep practicing and typically take again to see your highest score. Definitely take your final SAT or ACT before October of your senior year, so you have time to get those scores ready and send them to your colleges. And then as a note again, CSUs and UC schools are no longer requiring the SAT or ACT. Now affording college. So there are a few ways to apply for financial aid. For students with a social security number, you're going to want to fill out the FAFSA, which comes out in October of your senior year. And through the FAFSA, you can get federal aid like Pell Grants, and grant is money you don't have to pay back. You get work study, which is like financial aid where you work on campus, and then that money is delivered to you through a paycheck, kind of like a normal job. And then there's also federal student loans that can be awarded. You also get qualified for state aid through the FAFSA as well. So that's your Cal Grant A, B, and C. And you see that there's different GPA requirements for that. There's also the middle class scholarship and then the foster youth grant. And then the California Dream Act is for students without a social security number, students who are undocumented or DACA recipients. Unfortunately, no federal aid is given through that application, but you are still eligible for state aid. And so you are still eligible to receive that Cal Grant A, B, or C, the middle class scholarship, the foster youth grant, and there's also Dream loans that are offered through the Dream Act as well. A little bit more about financial aid. So the FAFSA or the Dream Act is now a graduation requirement. All high school students have to complete the FAFSA or the Dream Act as a graduation requirement, or you fill out an opt-out form. But this will be explained to you more in your senior year. And like I said, these applications open October of your senior year and typically close like March, April. And for the Dream Act, the sooner that you file your Dream Act, the more money you may be awarded, as there's kind of like a finite amount of this money. So you want to make sure you're filling out those applications as soon as possible. Now there's different ways to pay for college. The first is through grants, and that is money you don't have to repay. And this can be given out based on GPA, as we saw with the Cal Grant, or like economic need. There's also scholarships. There's a ton of different scholarships. And so this could be based on interests, achievements, GPA, need, etc. So there's a ton out there, and scholarships you don't need to repay as well. Work study, this is an on-campus job given out based on need. And when you're filling out the FAFSA, you definitely want to check this box because your earnings get paid directly to you, like through a direct deposit as wages. And typically these jobs, like they're designed for students. So when you're applying for a work study job, they know you're a student, they know you got homework. And so typically they're a lot more flexible and understanding than like a job at like the Starbucks across the street, for example. There's also federal loans. And so this is money loaned to you that you do have to repay back. But typically the federal loans have lower interest rates than the like private loans. There's also personal savings. So families can save money for college in a ScholarShare 529 plan. And you want to like talk to your bank a little bit more about this, but typically you can start one with about $25. And the money that you put in this account is not taxed. There's also local aid programs available like our Palomar Promise. So you get 2 years of free course enrollment and related fees. So it's like your first 2 years, totally free, like not even textbooks, not even the parking permit, you know, like you're golden. You also get access to specialized like academic and career support. And to be eligible, you must fill out the FAFSA or the Dream Act to qualify. You must be a first-time college student, but accept like dual or that concurrent enrollment. You must complete the Palomar Promise application and enroll full-time and maintain a 2.0 GPA. But again, this is something that you'll fill out in your senior year. Next is scholarships. So like I mentioned, like there's a ton of different scholarships that you have available. There's academic, athletic, leadership, like community or volunteer service. And there's also need-based scholarships. And on that QR code, you can scan it and it takes you to the Mission Hill Scholarship page. And that's being updated all the time. Our Future Center is great at keeping y'all up to date with the scholarships and free money that's available. Now, what you should be doing right now. So definitely as a freshman, keep that solid academic foundation. Strive for those A's and B's because like, even though you only need a C as your requirement for your A through G courses, college is still a competition and they want to see um, that like academic achievement, that like GPA as high as possible just to increase your chances, right? Practice those positive time management strategies, use your planner, make to-do lists, make sure like, if a friend asks you to hang out, you're thinking like, okay, like, do I have any homework? Maybe I should do my assignments first, then go hang out. So making those positive choices. Make sure that you're asking for help too if needed. There is tutoring available here at Mission Hills. Talk to your trusted adults like teachers, counselors, and social workers. We are here to help you and you're not alone. Continue to develop your study skills, read what's assigned to you, take notes in class so you can better remember your information. And as you're picking your courses for the next year, challenge yourself. Look into APs or honors courses, and also check out those dual or concurrent enrollment options. And then just really maintain those A through G requirements. Make sure you're on track. Now, there's also things you can do to start planning. So get involved here at Mission Hills. There's so many sports and clubs and community service opportunities. There is a Mission Hills Club like page. If you just like Google that in the search bar and you'll be able to be taken to it. You can see what clubs are available. Begin to build your resume. So keep track of the things that you are doing in high school because you'll need that on your college application. And then it also helps like the readers determine like and see what you're interested in or be like, this person said they're really interested in engineering. Are they taking their time to pursue those interests and fulfill those interests even more? That's what they're looking for. And so begin researching and visiting colleges. The Future Center hosts field trips like all the time and like brings like college reps into Mission Hills. So keep track of those. Speak to your parents and trusted adults about post-high school questions and goals and plans. Families, set up meetings to talk about things college related and also begin to explore your interests and get an idea of possible like major career interests. So that can help your search, right? And there's a super strong interest survey available through the Future Center as well that can help you determine those things. So finally, some resources. Our amazing Future Center, we have Miss Elisa and Miss Schutze in there. Miss Schutze is going to be your go-to person for like college applications, scholarships, work permits, and financial aid. She's also super good at finding those community service opportunities for you. Miss Elisa is our career coach. So everything job-related, interview prep, career planning, she is amazing at that. And their contact information is on the screen. Students and families, I also recommend you following them on Instagram if you have that capability, because they are always posting their opportunities on there and it's really cool just to like see it pop up. And you can go ahead and scan this QR code and that'll take you to the Future Center calendar, which is like all the events coming up. We also have a class of 2027 Google Classroom. And so you can scan the QR code or use the code on the screen. And this is where you'll be notified about different events going on specifically for our class of 2027. When counselors visit the classrooms, their presentation and resources will typically be in there. Any scholarships related to your class or that you can apply for will be shared on that Google Classroom as well. We also have various social medias. I would say that Instagram is definitely the best one, but we have really helpful resources on all platforms. And now this is your counseling department. So definitely contact your school counselor if you have any questions that come up about college or future planning. They are super duper helpful and they are there for you. And your assigned counselor goes by your last name. So for example, my last name starts with GRE. And so my counselor would be Mr. Cruz because my last name falls within those initials. So thank you so much for your time today. Again, if you have any questions, definitely reach out to your school counselor. And I believe in all of you so, so much.